out of which their current stockholders are selling around 7.9 million shares. Recently, it began generating profit. For the first time of 2023, it generated a $242 million in profit. Hi, welcome to Outlier Live. So let's talk about IPOs. So looks like IPOs are hot again. Maybe let's see into some of the upcoming IPOs. Let's start with our two hot IPOs, which I'm reading about. One is Instacart, and one is Arm Holdings. So first and foremost, let's be honest here. Like most of the people who invest in IPOs, I believe they just look at the excitement around that IPO. They read basic news like, hey, what other people are talking about, what other investors are saying, which other investors are participating, etc. So they mostly make the decision based off of that. And I have seen, I have talked to actually some of my close friends who do the same. So they look at a company, for example Airbnb. Just because they use Airbnb a lot, they have this good feeling about Airbnb, they will participate in it. So this is just an example. So one of the key thing that I think everybody should look into is Form S1. So it's essentially, it talks about the business operation, total proceeds like price per share, how much they are listing at, um, management decisions, financial conditions, um, the recent sales of how many shares they are offering, etc., etc. I think it's a very, very important thing to look at. So let's start with Instacart. So Instacart recently announced that they are going to list on September 19th, I believe. So they are offering around 14.1 million shares, out of which their current stockholders are selling around 7.9 million shares. And they are going to list somewhere around $26 to $28. That's the estimate. And they are probably going to bring around 213 million if sold at $27 midpoint. So now that would give a valuation somewhere around 7.45 billion dollars. Who are the key investors? I believe it's Nvidia is one of them. I know for sure. Let's look into that. But before that, who is actually going to be involved from the banking side? I think it's Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Barclays. Their IPO roadshow is beginning like soon. I think it's already started. So let's see how it does. So if we look into Instacart, right? So it's a grocery delivery company. So it was their 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 valuation skyrocketed during COVID time. Why? Because everybody was ordering the groceries from home. It was a perfect company during that time. Now their valuation has actually dropped. Like their valuation was very high, but right now they are targeting to list their company with the valuation around $9.3 billion. So they are taking a major haircut here. So now let's look at some of the notes from their management. So what they are saying that Instacart has a history of losses, but recently it began generating profit. For the first time of 2023, it generated a $242 million in profit, compared with $74 million loss for the same time a year ago. So again, if we look at it, right, am I excited about this IPO? I mean, I like reading about it. I like the excitement about it, but I feel like with there are a lot of risk involved. Why? Because Amazon, Walmart, they are offering, they're focusing a lot on grocery business, they're focusing a lot on delivery business. So I think Instacart has a lot of competition from some of these bigger players, right? And historically, if we see that most of the IPOs doesn't do very well as soon as they list. So we can look into those numbers in a second here. But let's talk about our second IPO, Arm. So Arm is a SoftBank Group's holding company. It tried to sell to Nvidia, I believe, last year for somewhere around $80 billion, but that deal didn't happen. So now they are trying to get a valuation somewhere around $50 billion. So that is again a haircut from what they were trying to sell to Nvidia. Now let's look at what they are targeting. They are targeting to list around $47 to $51, right? They are looking to raise around $4.68 billion, which will make ARM IPO one of the biggest IPO of 2023. So let's look at some of their key investors. Um, AMD, Apple, Google, Intel, Nvidia, Samsung. So these are one of the top 10 investors for ARM. So now it comprises of around 15.7% of the IPO. So they are interested in around $735 million of ADS, which is American Depository Shares. And again, uh, looks like let's look into ARM's business. So I'm reading some of the comments here. So a dominant chip designer, but a very, very lofty price. So there is an excitement in the industry, but also investors are feeling that they are priced a bit higher. So what do they do? So they design software for computer chips that power cell phones, tablets, wearable technologies, etc., even cars. So now they do not do chip production. Actually, they license these designs to the companies who make those chips. So this is a very good business to be in, and I believe most of these companies who design and manufacture chips, who are looking to sell these self-driving cars, who are looking to build these other electronic devices, phones, etc., they will be very, very interested in ARM's IPO because their software is essentially powering all of these chips. So I see a reason why this probably is going to be one of the biggest IPO in 2023. But again, we will know how the stock will do because there is a risk in the market. So one of the key risk is China risk, because I see that with lot of because of the geopolitical events that are happening around, how the US and China relations are right now, there is a risk that US may ban uh, further sale of arm products in China, but we don't know yet. So that is one of the risks that is involved with this IPO.